So it's been almost 4 years, surprisingly, since the Rise of Skywalker. Maybe it's dumb to talk about it this late in the game, since everyone and their grandmothers have had an opinion on it. But there was one thing I wanted to say about the film, so I will talk about it briefly. I don't want to talk about the movie as a whole. It's fine. That's the only way I could put it. It's fine. If it wasn't Star Wars, it would have been forgotten by now. That's my overall summary of the film. No, I want to talk about one of the biggest issues that most people had with it, the return of Palpatine. Now, based on my observations, you could break this critique down into two segments. One, they shouldn't have brought Palpatine back, and two, how they brought him back was dumb. Now, I'm not going to say my opinion on the first, the fact that they brought him back at all. I do think the video essay of A Closer Look had a really good point about it, though.
Abrams intended the antagonist of the trilogy to be Snoke, and Johnson killed him. And sure, some people really did like the fact that Snoke was suddenly and unexpectedly killed, but the issue is that Johnson left no viable alternative for the main bad guy in the third film. It can't be Hux because he's been turned into a joke, it can't be Kylo because Rey's kicked his ass in every single fight they've had, and he has a fairly minimal menacing presence, and on top of that, Disney clearly wanted Kylo to be redeemed in the end. To give JJ some credit, he was left in an impossible situation, because now the main bad guy is dead, and there's no one left to replace him, so Abrams resurrected Palpatine, a move that had zero foreshadowing and came out of nowhere.
Actually, I lied. I do want to say one thing about the decision to bring Palpatine back to life. I am really shocked and surprised that so many Star Wars fans found bringing him back as the bad one, not Maul or Boba Fett or the other people in ghost forms. No, Palpatine is when Star Wars got silly with bringing back people from the dead. What I really want to talk about is how so many people were upset about the explanation of Palpatine coming back to life. It is usually shown and mocked by this clip.
And it confirms the worst. Somehow Palpatine returned.
And yes, that is a bad explanation of how he came back to life. Except for the fact that wasn't the film's explanation of how he came back. This is.
You'll die first.
I have died before. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
This quote
Somehow Palpatine returned.
is from the protagonist's perspective, and it would make sense, actually, that they would not know how he came back. I mean, how would they? But we, the audience, had a pretty quick but pretty clear explanation. It was a supernatural thing with the Force. Simple as that. And I never really got into the extended universe stuff, but apparently the dark side bringing people back from the dead has always been a thing. But wait, you might say, that's the books, and they don't count. These are the movies.
And don't any of you f***its tell me that it was explained more in the novelization or some Star Wars book. What matters is the movie. I ain't never read one of them Star Wars books, or any books in general for that matter. I ain't about to start. Don't talk about them stupid video games or novels, comic books, or any of that f***.
Okay, fair enough. But with Star Wars, they always kind of shifted the rules of what the Force can do. It started with some sensory things and mind control.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Then he could move small objects, then big objects, then lightning, that's kind of random. And then there's the worst contender that you have.
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
By the way, did we all just agree that that didn't happen? Like, no one talks about that anymore. Is it just officially non-canon by the decision of the masses? Super speed, force healing, whatever this is. The fact is, if you are upset about inconsistent rules about the Force when it comes to Palpatine's return, then you don't have a problem with Rise of Skywalker. You have a problem with a lot of Star Wars. I said what I said.